This video shows the basics of using an expanding collet when making a shaving brush handle. It's worth noting that this is not the tool I normally use when making brushes, as I mostly make wood handles, and for a host of reasons I create a thread inside the brush and use a threaded mandrel to hold the work. However, the technique shown here is very useful for brush makers who are working with transparent or translucent resins where a threaded hole might be visible. The item shown is a Beall IX collet. IX stands for internal expanding. It's available in a variety of sizes, and the one shown here has a diameter of 1 inch, which is good for those who bore a 1-inch hole for a 22mm brush knot, but I typically bore a 26mm hole for a 24mm knot, and this same collet works fine with the addition of a single wrap of electrical tape around the diameter of the collet. So now let's demonstrate the procedure on a piece of wood. This blank has been cut to roughly the target length and mounted in the chuck. Next, a Forstner bit is used to bore a hole in what will be the top of the brush. This hole will eventually accept the knot of bristles, and you might notice that I've created a stop so my holes are of consistent depth. During the boring of the hole, I back the drill out several times to clear the debris. Now it's time to square up the face of the blank and start shaping the top of the handle. This is because when we turn the blank around, the collet will cover the very top of the hole, so now is the time to do any sanding and finishing of this part of the handle. The collet has a brass insert that's connected to a screw that, when tightened, expands the collet slightly. The collet is placed into the workpiece, and the screw is tightened slightly. It doesn't take much, just until the collet is snug in the workpiece. Then the entire piece is removed, and the tail of the collet is inserted into a chuck or a collet in the spindle, anything that can accept the collet's half-inch tail. A generally good practice is to keep the tailstock's live center in use until it needs to be removed. Now you can bring in the tool rest and go ahead and shape the profile of the brush. When the profile is done, it's time to remove the live center, work on the bottom of the brush, and do any remaining finishing tasks. To remove the collet from the work, loosen the screw a bit and tap the screw on a hard surface to make sure it releases the brass cone that had expanded the collet into the work. I hope these tips are useful in your own work. Now go and turn safely.